Have you ever wondered how to cruise during hurricane season? Well, stick around. Ahoy, travelers. It's Amy here to help you make your travel experience a success. The first thing to remember is that cruise lines want to keep their passengers safe. So being on a cruise ship during hurricane season isn't really that dangerous. Not only are the ships huge, but captains are going to do everything in their power to navigate around large storms, especially hurricanes. Now, no cruise line would want to deal with the fallout created by sailing through a hurricane. That would be just disastrous. If cruisers don't need to worry about being in the direct path of a storm, what should they consider when booking during the adjacent months? You know the adjacent months: June, July, August, September, October, November. I know, I just love saying adjacent months. It's funny. Cruising during hurricane season can be a unique experience with its own set of challenges. There are risks like itinerary changes and rough seas. Ships may need to reroute to avoid storms, which can lead to unexpected ports of call or extended sea days. You may not be able to go back and you get stuck out at sea for an extra day. You may end up not being able to go to port and that gets changed over to a sea day. Well, it's always a bad idea to forego purchasing travel insurance. Get the travel insurance, people. It's even more so if you're cruising during hurricane season. Now, this year, we've already seen how a hurricane can affect multiple cruises. Hurricane Beryl made landfall along the Gulf as a Category 1 hurricane, causing the port of Galveston to have to shut down. Now, this meant that guests on board the Carnival Dream had to arrive early on their embarkation day, and the Mariner of the Seas had to remain out at sea until the storm was over and the port could reopen. They were out there an extra day, which then meant that those who were on the next sailing of the Mariner of the Seas lost a day of their cruise. Many ships had to alter their planned port stops to avoid the storm or because the storm had hit that port. Travel insurance would have helped with costs passengers accrue from major changes. So if you have to change your flights or you miss a day on the ship, and some insurance will even compensate cruisers for missed ports. Check that out. Now, cruisers should never expect to make it to all ports of call on any cruise. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you are sailing during hurricane season, especially around the Caribbean, you should plan on being flexible and not getting upset if you miss out on a port stop or you find that your itinerary has been changed. To make the most of your cruise during hurricane season, here are some tips and strategies. First, pack essentials like seasickness medication, extra clothes for varying weather, and important documents. Now, even if you do not usually suffer from seasickness on a cruise ship while sailing during the winter months, you may find that you are affected if your ship has to weather some stormy seas. The only time I've had even the slightest touch of seasickness, and it wasn't bad enough to prevent me from eating or even having a cocktail later, just a little bit, you could tell. And the only time I've had that was during a storm that was bad enough that half the crew didn't even make it to their post the next morning. Knowing that if it's bad enough that even seasoned crew can be affected should encourage everyone to bring some kind of seasickness medication just in case. And remember, it's a lot cheaper to bring it with you than to have to buy it on the ship. Cruisers will also want to make sure that they are prepared for rain by packing rain gear. Now, I always like to keep those disposable rain ponchos in my port backpack because pop-up showers are common in many cruise ports. They don't take up much room and they can be tossed in the trash at the end of the day. Plus, they're completely waterproof. Stay informed by keeping an eye on weather updates and ship announcements. So prior to leaving your home for your cruise, you should be tracking any predicted hurricanes or tropical storms. Luckily, we now have quite a bit of warning prior to these storms hitting land. And while they can change paths beyond what is predicted, we do have an idea if we need to make adjustments to our travel plans. Cruisers may find that leaving for their embarkation port a day early will keep them from driving or flying in bad weather, or that the bad weather prevents them from flying or driving at all. While on board the ship, you will want to make sure you are listening for any weather announcements, as the captain will make sure any changes are passed on to passengers. Having a flexible mindset is key to cruising during hurricane season. Going in with the mindset that plans may change is a good way to keep yourself from being disappointed. This is especially important for parents taking children on excursions. You don't want to promise children that they will get to swim with dolphins and then the ports change last minute so the ship can avoid the storms. Poor little kids with their disappointment that they don't get to swim with dolphins. Be sure to let them know that nothing is a guarantee, but no matter what, it's still going to be a fun trip. Of course, the easiest way to handle all of this would be if you could just avoid cruising during hurricane season altogether. But that isn't always possible, especially for those with school-aged children. Now, we usually choose to sail outside of the adjacent months, and the one time we did take a Caribbean cruise during hurricane season, we were lucky that we experienced beautiful weather. It was very, very hot, but beautiful. Hot enough that I won't be doing it again, but beautiful. Now, that isn't to say we haven't experienced a storm at sea, though. On a Caribbean cruise in January of 2020, we experienced the strongest storms that I've sailed through to date. The waters of the Lido pool were splashing out from how much the ship was rocking. The storm lasted through the night, and when we got up for the next day, which was a sea day, for most of the morning, it was like we were on a ghost ship. Not only were most of the passengers still holed up in their cabin, but much of the crew as well. We headed off to brunch and were told that they were running short-staffed because crew was sick and they just weren't showing up. I still have never seen the MDR that empty. So while attempting to avoid cruising during hurricane season may be the best way to avoid hurricanes, it doesn't always mean that you're going to avoid the storms. Now, as I said in the beginning, cruise ship captains will do everything possible to avoid a hurricane. So cruising during hurricane season isn't dangerous. While ships may have to skirt the edge of the storm, they're not going to sail through them, so you don't need to worry about your safety. It does, however, mean you should go into your cruise prepared for changes and prepared to be flexible. Well, are you ready for more information on cruising? Why not stick around and check out this video, and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.